And so the heroes, having again suffered a great loss of their own, ended the attack on Majeur in the Northern Wheel. Just as they had done a year before at the Battle of Majeur, they disappeared, but this time to the south, to the mysterious sealed lands of the Southern Wheel.
With the destruction of Overpass and the influx of its citizens to Majeur, Aloxi began relief efforts with her sizable fortunes. Consulting with the Merchant Guild and Craftsmen of Majeur, she created new housing and facilities, as well as better fortifications with her funding. Although she refused to admit to any philanthropic efforts. Eventually, Majeur grew to a proper city, rivaling the population it once enjoyed before the war, eventually becoming an empire of its own.
After the explosion marking the destruction of the ship carrying Patricia and the heroes, Tao fell into an obsessive state, trying to find a way to return them through her time travel research. Her friends saw less and less of her, save Telemachus, who she would frequently consult for unknown reasons. One day, she simply vanished altogether, fueling theories that she had actually discovered the secret to time itself.
With the gearheads destroyed and his role in the battle, Tyr found himself a part of the town's guard. He found new purpose in this role, constantly vigilant for any new signals from the gearhead command structure, should they ever try to return. Due to his implants, Tyr's life was severely extended, though his physical maturation was halted. For centuries, he held his post as captain of the guard, being one of the few who survived to see Majeur transition from an agrarian town to a massive city empire.
Through the tutelage of Telemachus, or rather Zyrus, Fjord's spirit forging was honed to a new level. Constantly improving upon his work, he became known as the Smithy of the Gods, eventually gathering his own following of dedicated blacksmiths to whom he selectively taught his trade. In his old age, he set out into the wastes alone, seeking anyone who remained of his people, but to his knowledge, he was the last remaining dwarf in the wheel.
Having offhandedly mentioned that he was the god of creation trapped in mortal form, Telemachus found himself even busier than usual. Between helping Tao with her research, teaching the secrets of creation to Fjord, and generally working on his own projects, Telemachus had never been happier. Frick frequently had to sedate him so that he would actually sleep.
Dak Shun found himself uncomfortably busy for the months following the battle, tending to the wounded and treating those exposed to the fallout in New Haven and Overpass. He frequently worked himself into exhaustion. Once Loxy's expansion plans has completed a new medical facility, Frick began taking on new students and teaching them the craft of the Wasteland Doctor. This eased the burden of care on him substantially, and Majeur enjoyed a new level of medical care that hadn't been seen in the world since before the war. It's rumored that centuries after the Second Battle of Majeur, Frick found a way to reverse the process that created unfortunates and began curing those who sought to return themselves to their original form.
Tula's research into mutagenics reached a conclusion after his work on Goose's egg. He had discovered the mechanisms by which the Blight had transformed humans into the creatures of the wasteland, though it remained impossible to reverse. Fearing his own mutation would eventually transform him into such a creature, he sought to end his own life. Since he was unable to do so without feeling sad and transforming, he returned to New Haven and found happiness when he married a Mott. Unable to have children of his own, he and his husband raised orphans of the war. He didn't mutate much during this time, as he was actually content.
As the hunters regrouped after the battle and offered help to Majeur, a strange transmission briefly came into the guild hall. They couldn't be sure, but it seemed as though a message from the long-since-lost Southern Hunters Guild had, for a moment, gotten through. After the relief efforts, Susan put many of the guild members to work attempting to get the communications network to re-establish that connection. Since he'd become the leader of the new guild hall, Susan found himself with much more time to practice his true calling: cooking.
as the heroes tumbled through the air, watching the wreckage of their airship and the demon's head burn and crash towards Wrath. A cached message from Patricia played on Trinity's radio. Tell Tau, tell Emily that I loved her.
And so, with the second Battle of Majeur over and the Gearhead threat ended, the heroes transitioned from war heroes to legends to myths. The reality of their personage slipping from popular knowledge to only a select few who knew them from first hand. As the fallout continued to fall over the ruins of Overpass, movement came from beneath the debris. A figure, badly wounded and naked, hobbled out from the destroyed service plaza and into the wastes.